this morning?
I'm good.
I think this will be the beginning of us periodically, her joining me, and we'll just call it Me and My Wife Discuss. So this will be Me and My Wife Discuss Volume 1. And with this, we'll discuss how we met.
Yeah.
Probably talk a little louder.
Okay. I think I'm okay. Usually I'm loud on here. Hey, everybody. This is Liv.
You don't have to go with your name.
Good to meet everybody.
We'll need people going to search you out here.
My bad. Should we restart or are we already on?
Well, you can get your whole government, so it's fine.
Okay.
So when we get back to the beginning of us meeting, what are your first thoughts about it?
I'm just as long-winded as you. When we get back to us first meeting, I really get back to where my mind was at the time that we met. Just kind of where I was in life. And
which was that? And where is that, I should say?
I was just dating. I was kind of open to dating. I had literally just decided that I actually wanted to be in a relationship, just get to know somebody, really kind of be in a relationship with the person. Because before that, I was just dating people, and I was fine doing that, just getting to know people, not being kind of locked into anything. And I think it was great to just kind of, I'd always been like a relationship person, like a minute. And that was the first time I'd ever said, why don't you just go to dinner, just go to the movies, go to the thing, whatever. And it don't have to be something serious. So after I had done that, at the time I met you, I literally had just said, I think I'm actually ready to meet somebody. How about you?
I was in my phase of saying yes to everything at that point. So job opportunities, dating, something was coming my way. I forgot what book I read it in, but it was like you should take at least 30 to 60 days, take a 30 to 60 day space out of every year and just say yes to every opportunity that comes to just kind of see, what life throws at you. I will have to find the book again. But for me, it was just like, okay, if somebody reaches out or I match and somebody want to meet up, I'm going to just say yes. It's just a conversation.
Yeah.
Of course, we have many conversations now on a lot of different levels, but but it's just a conversation. It can't hurt.
Yeah.
And we'll see what comes out of it. And you came out of it.
So you're welcome. No, but seriously, I always tell people, because when they ask how did we met, I have no problem saying we met on Tinder. And I think people always get the eyebrow raise. But I also, what's interesting to me about that is when I guess, what did we swipe left, right? Right? You were actually the last person that because I decided I was kind of deciding, okay, I'm kind of tired of this and kind of having to sift through everything. And like I said, I was ready to kind of be in something serious. And so you were literally the last profile that I saw. And I still remember it was you. I remember you had a picture with you and Livy, the dog. And I was kind of like, I was like, whatever. I was like, I don't mind dogs or whatever. Little did I know she would, how much she would integrate into my life. But I thought you looked cute. I was like, sure, why not? And just kind of, there was nothing else to go on, right? It's a Tinder profile. Like, what else do you have, Yeah.
So,
I don't even think you remember seeing my profile, do you?
Mm-hmm. You're only allowed like 20 likes every 12 hours.
How many people were you liking, babe?
Well, I'm saying you only get on there every couple of days. You only get like 20 likes. So, those who reach out. You match. If you don't, you don't. I still was casually dating in the process. So It was just like, I really wasn't pressing. I just had, my world was basically flipping upside down. Well, not at that point. My feet was firmly grounded at that point. Let me not say it was getting flipped upside down. So,
but you had kind of gotten out of.
Yeah, but I was out of that for at least a year at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think a little longer than that. But yeah, well, I had moved out for at least a year at that point. I think like a year and a half. I won't say just got out because those who follow, that was over long prior to me stepping out the door. But no, we matched and we talked for a little while. And it's hard to get a gauge about what you're dealing with. So, or did we talk on the phone before we went on our first date? I think we
did, but I will say, and well, you can tell it because you always say what that experience was like for you, but we didn't text or talk for very long before our first date. And so at this point now it's reconstructive memory, right? Like I can kind of remember from my perspective. I remember the highlights of what I remember. I remember where I worked, and I remember texting or messaging you from my desk at work. And just kind of thinking that your initial messages just seemed kind, like they were like respectful and just kind of, and you had made I may get it exactly wrong, but you had made some statement about us getting together. I won't say what it was because maybe I was wrong. And when I said it before, you're like, I ain't never say no corny mess like that. So in my mind, it was, something very like, oh, you look nice, let's get together. But either way, you made some statement about us getting together. And
I said I would love to enjoy exploring the city with you.
So you know the line.
I know exactly. That's why when you were saying what you were saying, I was just like, I don't know what you talking about, but I would never say nothing. Something to that
impact though, because I said something about enjoying the city, and I guess I just added my embellishments. Well, I added word, but I didn't think I was adding embellishments though.
Well, I got my swag, and when people add or take away, it can sound very corny, and I'm just like, no, I wouldn't come off and say nothing like that. So,
well, when you said that though, I was like, yeah, sure, when. And I think that kind of
threw me off because with that, I was thinking this will give me a grace period of at least a week or so to kind of get to know her. See, we actually want to go out, and when you put me on the hot seat, it was just like, when then? So, and I think, what was it, like a couple of days later, it was like, all right, well, let's meet up then.
Yeah.
And we met up. And for a woman who was a stickler about people being on time.
Here we go.
The one thing I can tell you, being married to her, is she will press it to the last second. Or she may be a minute or two late. She's going to give you a heads up. But on time, if she on time, it's literally like Deacon Fry on Amen, just walking right through the door. Right on time.
What you're referring to is so he said I remember it was a Thursday, and the reason I remember it was a Thursday is because of how the whole weekend played out. But we had messaged on the app, and then we kind of moved over to texting on the phone, and we probably text more than we talked. I think we talked a little bit, but it was pretty quick. And once you kind of said, yeah, we can meet up on this day. And I honestly don't know. It might have even been a week after we had matched. So it might have been like, a few days, but you recommended that we meet up at a Starbucks on Michigan Ave. And I said, okay, cool. Because it was kind of halfway between where we stayed, and it was kind of easy access for both of us to get to. And it was public, like the whole thing, right? After work. So, and I told him that my last date was like an hour late. And which was crazy because we lived in the same neighborhood. Like we both could walk to the bar that we were meeting at. And so that was just,
was that?
I'll show you. It's right over here. But it was like, it's right by our closest Redline stop when we lived in another neighborhood. But so I said to him, I was like, listen, like, because the fact that he was late was an immediate turnoff. And we had a whole like banter about that date or whatever. So, and he said he was somebody that was on time. So I show up to a Starbucks. about 5-10 minutes early. I'm sitting in there.
And she didn't give him a kiss on the first date.
No, I didn't want to kiss him. That's a whole other.
I know, a serial. That was my initial thoughts.
What?
Was this chick a serial dater?
Why do I have to kiss somebody if I don't want to kiss them?
You go on a date with somebody, I'm assuming there's some level of attraction there. And at
That's
that
fine.
point, for me,
It was when I agreed to the date. It wasn't by the time. And here's the thing: I didn't want to stay. Like I told him, yo, we can just reschedule. He insisted, no, I'm on my way. I still want. So I wasn't even trying to like keep the date. But no, I didn't want to kiss him.
I know. You don't want to keep it. I don't like people having me wait.
Well, the thing that killed it too, babe, was he was like, when I said I either called or texted and was like, hey, I'm here. He was like, oh, I didn't expect a Black woman to show up to a date on time. Brother, it's 15 minutes in. Like, what are we?
I still don't expect him to show up on time.
That's fine. Well, he was an hour late. That's neither here nor there.
An hour late, 3 minutes late. You know what the consistent word in there is? Late.
That's fine. That's fine. Whatever. I still don't understand why it bothers you so much that I didn't kiss this dude. Like, the whole date was like, I gave him every sign. I was just trying to be polite, but I don't have to be polite with my body.
Oh, I wasn't saying that.
Well,
I guess for me, is when you tell the story of the date, though, is you've given every sign you weren't interested. Leave. Don't waste people's time.
so him saying, no, I want you to stay, and me staying was wasting his time.
You should have left.
Should have left.
Right.
Didn't leave. That's fine. Try to insist on us just having drinks because I knew I wasn't going to eat a lot. I wasn't really hungry. It's like, no. We got to go get something to eat. We got to do it. I told him, I was like, I'm really not hungry. I'm not going to, you remember that was like right after, and so I was like, we went, he saw I didn't eat a lot. I tried to, it's like, whatever. But I mean, it was fine. And to be honest, if I hadn't met you, I might have at some point gone out with him again. But he wasn't a bad dude. But I wasn't turned on by him. I wasn't.
Probably at some point. Man, he was still lurking in the shadows, huh?
No, because at that point, by the time you and I met, just kind of slowly cutting everybody off. But he wasn't a bad dude. But I wasn't going to sit up there and, no, I didn't want to. But anyway, so because of that, I was like, yo, I'm a stickler for time. So I show up to a Starbucks and I call him like, hey, I'm here. And he's like, where are you? I was like, I'm sitting here at Starbucks. And he was like, I'm at Starbucks. And I was like, wait. And I said, I looked out at the address and I was a block away on Michigan. I had put the GPS in, but it was at the wrong one because there was a Starbucks that wasn't even a whole block. It was half a block up.
Yeah.
So
in downtown Chicago, you may run into maybe 15 to 20 Starbucks, to be honest.
All on Michigan Avenue. So of course he has never let me live down the fact that arriving to our actual date, I was literally
late.
3 minutes.
It don't matter.
That's late. Fine. That's fine. So you want to take it from there?
Yeah, I know you don't like to leave out me basically catching you at the door. And
what was that about?
I want us to kind of get moving. In my head, if you would have came in, sat down with me at the table, we probably would have made that into a date. And I didn't know kind of how the evening would kind of maneuver. So it was like, and I told you, I was freestyling it. I didn't know where we was going that night. Mm-hmm. I had no clue. It's just like, we downtown. It's thousands of things to get into. So it's like, we'll find something. And
do you remember your first impressions? Right? Did you have any?
No. Besides me being attracted to you, it was nothing else to have at that point. I didn't know you to have. I mean, I was like the gall of this chick to be late.
The gall.
And we'd have had these conversations about the turn off with.
Did you believe that I was at the wrong Starbucks?
Well, you wasn't. No, it didn't matter.
No, I'm just wondering.
Oh, I did, but you was late. It didn't matter to me if you was at the 20 steps away. You wasn't where you were supposed to be.
This is my life, ladies and gentlemen.
It's also my life because I get it the same way she's saying it's her life. I get it the same way on the other end, but that's fine. To me, it was just.
I remembered us leaving out, like, because so what happened, he was sitting down. I walked through the door and see him. And like, as soon as I come through the door, he like gets up and kind of like pushes me out the door. Like, we don't even like, I didn't get a coffee, nothing, like pushes me out the door and like, come on, we're going to go. So I do remember you kind of, it felt like, I was like, oh, he's very familiar. Cause like, I think you had like your hand was on, it wasn't like you didn't shove me, but I was like, okay, like just like move me out the way. I remember you being taller than I thought. And I definitely was more attracted to you in person. I remember saying that too.
Yeah, pictures never do me any justice. In person, usually a lady is usually gonna probably melt in my hands at that point. Carry on.
Heard that, Steven. Anyway, but so, and we joked about it though. Like, we joked about me being late as we were walking and just kind of, you know, laughing about it. And then I don't know, because I was just at that point following you. So maybe you want to share with the next kind of parts.
Where do we go to? The Disney place?
Yeah.
Disney store.
Yeah.
Got my youngest daughter, what was it, a Goofy? I think it was like a Goofy doll. Yeah. It was a Goofy stuffed animal. Just kind of walked around, talked, went, sat down and ate. And sat down and had a conversation at that point.
Yeah. I remember you made a comment on my outfit. You were like, oh, you could wear that to work? I had on like thick like leggings, like tights, and like a kind of like a poncho style sweater. But I guess, I don't know, you couldn't see through them, but you could see like, I guess, the shape of my legs or whatever. And I had on boots, and I was like, what's wrong with my outfit?
You just look conservative on your profile picture. You look super ultra conservative, and because of your profession, my mind is just, that's what they.
You could say it. You thought I looked good in the outfit. You thought it was sexy, and you were surprised that I could wear that to work, even though it was a long sweater, definitely covered my behind, the whole thing. But
I said, putting out all your curves, huh? Okay, that's fine.
That was the comment you made. You said how we met.
But yeah, sat down and talked. You could tell she was a little, I won't say annoyed, but I'm a huge Blue Devil fan. So she talking, and Duke was playing the ACC tournament. So, and we still have this to this day. My wife don't believe people can walk and chew gum at the same time. So if she's talking, eyes better be completely on her. I don't care if she asks you what she says and you look in the other direction. If you can recite it word for word, she still is going to be, well, I don't feel like you paying attention though. So
on the first date, I asked you if you wanted to watch the game, and you said, no, I'm good. And then you proceeded to watch the game.
But I was listening to you engaging.
Well, that was the annoyance, was I was like, but he knows he's watching the game. So why don't he just, I was like, you sat us in the position so that you could be looking directly at the screen. That was the annoyance there. But as far as like, communication.
Scoreboard watching too. It wasn't like I was just glued up like this.
No, we had a conversation. I wouldn't try to say it like that. Like, we definitely were talking. But with us, as far as like kind of then and now, I think, you just communicate with people in a way where they feel like they're heard. That's all. You can walk and chew gum at the same time. I hear you, babe, but you communicate with people in a way so that they feel heard. And
that'll be another conversation for another day. We're not even going to go down that road.
So we stayed, and we actually stayed talking till the restaurant closed. We didn't notice that we were the last two people in the restaurant. We were still talking.
Which, to this day, as you guys can see already, we 20 minutes in, and we are still at the genesis of the date. So I'm pretty sure we'll get into more and more stories about that. But conversations, we just literally got through watching The Shining. It took us 2 hours. For us, we can get going, and I don't think we knew then what we know now, but we can get going and just go and lose track of time altogether at that point. So
yeah,
then we got to time to pay for it,
and he wanted to see if I was gonna pull out my debit card to pay, which it was It was so obvious. I was just like, okay, here we go.
It wasn't obvious.
It
You
was-
still don't do.
It was to me.
Depending on how that date was, you just would have paid.
That's fine. It was obvious to me that you were waiting though, babe. Like we sat there and I was like, okay. So I pull out my card and then you're like, oh no, it's okay. And I was like, all right, here we guess he just wanted to see if I was gonna. It wasn't that big of a deal to me. I was like,
no, it wasn't. But I still just wanted to see if you would pay.
Or what I would have said in response for anything. I was just like, okay.
It's all intel gathering. That's all. Just wanted to know if you was a serial data or not at that point. That's all. I already had. Well, because of the way you treated dude, it was just kind of just like, yeah, I'm not sure. Well, you have to understand. I done been on dates, so I kind of understand what all of this is at this point. You got women who just kind of want to go out just to get out the house and go out, and it's us being men and being gentlemen. It's we'll cover it. But I also tell guys, take a lady on a date where you're gonna spend $100, $200, $300 on it. Take it somewhere casual, where if it work, it work. Y'all keep it moving. If it don't, you don't feel like it's a loss. Because
I would have been fine with us staying at Starbucks and just talking there.
I spend $150, $200 on a date. We ending up at home plate, Jack. You can take that how you want to take it.
So anyway, I pulled out my card. He said, no, don't worry about it. I got it, and paid for the date. And then at that point, I think you were getting ready to walk me back to the train. But I was like, it was still light out.
It wasn't light. It was dark.
It wasn't dark yet.
It was dark.
It wasn't dark yet.
In March, we didn't even have daylight savings yet. In March in Chicago, it is dark after 5:30.
It wasn't dark yet, babe.
It was dark, babe. The Duke game was pitch dark. It was dark when you got to Starbucks.
No, it wasn't.
I promise you it was.
Okay.
You didn't get that. Our date wasn't until 6:00. We met up, I think it was like 5:30, 6:00. 5:30 on March 8th in Chicago. March 8th in Chicago, but it's still dark outside. We haven't gone
then maybe it was just
daylight
the
savings.
light in my eyes, babe. The light in my heart.
I can. If I had a collar on, I'll pop it right now. I can do that.
So we ended up walking around some more down State Street and just kind of popping in and out of shops, like just kind of wasting time, basically. Like just kind of hanging out, starting to kind of flirt a bit. That was that.
And we went to Nordstrom Rack, watched you try on a boatload of sunglasses, play around in the aisles.
You were looking at some shoes.
And I was just like, she got a little person. Well, I was looking for my youngest daughter some shoes. Mm-hmm. Like, she got a personality to her, so it ain't that bad. So, holding hands. And
were we holding hands?
Yeah, so I'm walking down the street. We was. And when you rub shoulders, that's when I knew, like, yeah, we're going to kiss tonight. I definitely know now.
Because the way you framed it was like, if I don't get a kiss on the first date, that's a wrap.
There's no pressure on you to do it.
No, it wasn't. But I'm like, well, dang, if I just want to, like, say hello again, I guess I got to at least, like, give him a peck. And I mean to say it like this, I definitely wanted to kiss you. So it's not like...
It wasn't going to be no peck either. It's going to be a peck, just wasn't going to be a second date.
But I'm just like, I guess I had never heard somebody be so, like, upfront about, like... I was like, I didn't know the rules to this.
Wow. The queen of upfrontness does not know about somebody being upfront.
Dudes are usually, like, real kind of just, let me just...
I'm not ever forcing it. It's just, I understand if it don't happen for me, I told you, then I understand... This is what this is.
But that was a conversation we had before we even went out on a date. Like most people kind of.
Well, it wasn't in that frame. No, it was just more so. I take a lady on a date. We're going on a date. Hey, but I ain't getting a kiss on the first. It ain't gonna be a second date. Now it wasn't direct to you. Like, hey, yo, Liv, if you don't kiss me tomorrow night, ain't gonna be a second date. It was just like I just put it out. I put it out there. Like, hey, well, I don't get no kiss on the first date. Man,
I had never put so much weight on what it meant to or not to kiss on the first date, like kind of how that would set the tone for anything moving forward.
I guess for me, because I understand if you communicating for a week or so on this physical chemistry, then the kiss is the natural next step. If that doesn't happen to me, then I know then there's some pump faking going on somewhere. Then there isn't really the physical chemistry somebody is saying, and somebody could be playing games.
Like I said, in retrospect, I agree because somewhere somebody is hesitating or something. I had just never heard somebody just flat out just say like, "Listen, this is what it is." I was like, "Wow, okay, well, good to know." So we end up because at this point, he's right. It's evening time. The restaurant closed. Stores are closing. The only store that was still open was my favorite place in the world, Target on State Street. So we just go in Target, and we're still just kind of just wasting time. At this point, it's too late for me to get on the train. So I kind of knew I was going to catch a Uber home. So we're just kind of wasting time at the one store that's still open. Yeah. We kind of talked a little bit more.
Yeah, I got to know her some more. She opened up some more.
You did too. You were talking more about your daughter and just kind of what was going on. And
yeah. So, once that happened, we kind of go downstairs. I wait for Uber to come and get her. Of course, the kiss happened.
We kissed twice.
Oh, I was getting to that.
Oh, sorry.
And then she had that look in her eyes like the second one really wouldn't be that bad right now. And
that's what the look in my eyes said. We didn't kiss twice right away.
No, we didn't. It was a kiss. It was your smirk for a few minutes. And then there was another kiss.
You're so foolish.
That was another
he's over
kiss.
here cracking up. Y'all can't hear when he doesn't laugh out loud, but he's over here cracking up.
That was another kiss. And that night ended pretty well for the both of us.
Mm-hmm. I went home and you went home and we were just talking on the phone. And for me, I'll say, well, that was Thursday. We went out again Saturday, right? We didn't go on Friday. We went out again on Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday.
I was coming through your side of town because I used to work way over south. And so we met up, went to the movies and hung out some more. And chemistry was still there. We were still talking. It just felt really good and really comfortable. And then we went to the Museum of Contemporary Art,
we watched. What was it? Gringo. Get it to Gringo.
I don't know, but we didn't really watch the movie. We didn't. And then
I'm not going too far into what happened in the movie theater. We'll just let that go. Well, you already stated we watched the movie. It was just a lot of kissing going on in the movie. So
Anyway, we ended up going to the museum on Sunday and we went to get something to eat. And I'll say for me, I can't speak for you. It was kind of a wrap for me after that because we had 3 dates in 4 days and we were talking the whole time. I just really enjoyed our chemistry and just kind of being around you just was very comfortable, very easy. It was just very calm and easy.
Soothing.
So
I had that effect on myself too. I get it. Oh boy. Yeah, going to the art museum, I was like, she's weird. Weird, eclectic, but I was like, I kind of like the vibe we had. So, the weekend was just us getting to know each other. And
I don't know why you trying to act so cool. I'm up here talking about, he pretty much just had me by the end of the weekend. Babe, before we went to the movies, you said you have been telling your boys, my girl, they were messing with you. That's your girl? You were there too. You were open. Yes, you were open. You were like, wow, I really like this person.
Yeah, I don't think I called you my girl that first week, though.
Okay.
I think that was the following week. I think it was after the weekend where I said you was my girl.
It was before the movies.
No, it was after.
Okay.
It was after. It was after.
I distinctly remember us being in the movie theater
after the weekend
and us walking down the hall to the movies, and you kind of kept slipping like, my girl, you're like, yeah, my guys kind of keep messing with me about that. Like, I mean, you can ask them.
Yeah, it was after the weekend.
Okay, you can ask them. My point just being, you keep talking about, yeah, I had this effect. Da, da, da. I'm like, you were open as well, babe. Like,
not open now. Let's not say open. I think your interpretation sometimes when you recollect are a lot different than mine. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
I think mine went a lot. When I kind of recollect, I think things went a lot slower than where you were at. For you, I think it was at the same place by the time the weekend was over. I just don't think you love to throw he was open by the time we went out Saturday. For me, it was the weekend.
What, Sunday?
Yeah. That's a whole well after we had pizza, that was when I knew that it was just like, you know what? She cool. I enjoy spending time with her. Yeah. That kind of spawned into us turning that. Well, I don't think we ever win another weekend unless you're out of town.
Mm-hmm.
We can go another weekend without seeing each other. Mm-hmm. And it spawned into, well, I won't even say that, but I would say after you had after those few weekends, after you had the shooting at the school was when I think we both kind of knew that was just like
something more.
Yeah, so I was like, I think at that point you sound scared, and it was just like, yo, let me get out there to her. So
I used to work. The place I used to work at had a threat of an active shooter. Thankfully, nothing had happened, but we had to like the whole organization completely shut down, and like I was literally in my office, door locked, away from the windows. Like it was just a whole thing, and it was really scary. It shook me up a lot. They had, the police and everybody kind of on alert, So, and I remember thinking to myself, like, wow, like he's the person I want to, talk to. And you just were very concerned. And I'll be honest, for me, it was,
that the day too I bought you the sweater?
Yes. Yes. But I think what I remember is meeting up with you at the restaurant, and you could tell that I was just kind of frazzled and unsettled, and we were talking, and you just reached your hands across the table and held my hands while I was talking, and that just was like, it was just very comforting. Like to this day, when you do that, like it's just very like, okay, like let's just slow it down and just, so
yeah, let's just slow down, breathe, relax. And I think I left work early too. To go get you that sweater. And what did I put my Michael Kors cologne all over the sweater? Stayed on the sweater, found them. Yeah, I enjoy putting it on sometimes myself when I to smell it sometimes, but I gotta buy some more of that too. I really enjoyed the smell of that. But no, I got you that, and I don't know, that just after that day, I think we both kind of knew like, okay, yeah, this may go a little bit further than just girlfriend, boyfriend. This might be something permanent. So, and once I got a chance to see you around my youngest, then that was, I thought that was a deal sealer for me. Where it was just like, we'll kind of see how the friendship continues to evolve and, see where that leads us. So, with some hurdles to get over in terms of, you and your church buddies. And the impact that had on us the first year thing. So what was your thoughts on that?
It's funny, babe, because, well, I think I agree with you that kind of meeting your youngest, I think that's when I knew for you how serious it was, because you would let me know that you wanted me to meet her, and you'd also let me know that that no one else had ever. You kind of let me know the seriousness of that. Like, you were like, I don't ever want them to be meeting, honestly, more than one person. And it wasn't like at that point, there wasn't like you proposing marriage, but it was you letting me kind of know how serious you felt this was. And for me, it made me think about how much you just trusted me to kind of, because I met her, but then she'd come over, when you'd be there over the weekends, like would stay with us, like, just kind of us getting to know each other. You know what I mean? And you felt okay and safe with her kind of hanging out with me, or just us kind of doing stuff together.
She definitely was the only one she ever met.
Yeah. It's funny that you mentioned church buddies, because I thought about this yesterday, babe. Can I be completely honest with you? I think that impacted you more than it impacted me. And I say that because you bring that up and it doesn't even cross my mind. And I think that it impacted you because I think that what happened, and this was kind of, again, maybe about a year into us, maybe 2.
No, very early on. It was before the year mark.
I'm thinking about the sever of that relationship. But ultimately what ended up happening was I ended up cutting ties with a friend of mine because of kind of the way that she was taking me in your relationship, and just kind of how she was handling that. And it was really an issue of boundaries that had kind of snowballed. It was stuff that had predated us. But then because I knew how serious we were, she was kind of treating it like you were kind of infiltrating this thing. When a person ends up meeting a significant other, if you're the friend, you've really got to make space. And that's, and that tends to happen more with girlfriends than guys. I don't think guys don't really care, but you've got to kind of make space, because you could end up putting yourself on this you versus him type of dynamic. And you might end up on the losing side of that, especially in our case. I knew how serious we were. By the time that severed, you and I had already been looking at rings. Like, I think you had a month or so later, if even that, had called my father. Like, I knew where we were, like how serious we were. But whenever you kind of that, I guess I never thought it was like, oh, Steve came between me and that, because that was a building of things over for lots of different reasons that I don't really want to get into here. But it was a building of us never quite being as close, I think, as she thought that we were. And I'll put myself on the blame for that. And as close as I maybe led her to believe that we were, because there was a lot of things going on in my life that had just never been a part of the dynamic of our relationship. But when it ended, I think that, and even over the course of all the things that happened, I think you always question, like, am I the reason why this? And I never want to be the reason why. And so I think, because you'll bring that up, and it honestly never, and I don't think it's because I'm a bad friend or just am not compassionate, but I never think about you and us in relationship to that.
Well, I don't think it impacted. You love to throw it off on me and says it impacted me because of the way it impacted you. And I just don't think from the outside, because you could never be on the outside looking in. I don't think you ever realized how it impacted you. I don't think you realized how many conversations we actually had about it, how many times you would kind of bring it up. And I told you, for me, I didn't really. The one you end up severing the relationship with, we never even had any real dialogue for it to happen. I guess for me, it was we never had any issues to have an issue with. There wasn't like you could go to them and say, yo, he's stepping out, or he hit me, or he was doing this. There was nothing to report on any of those fronts. So for me, I think it was me watching how it was affecting you, but
Well, you said that to me once though. You were like, I just don't ever want to be kind of in this position of feeling like I'm the reason why that relationship didn't work out. And so I think that was, because I hear what you're saying, like the conversations, but I mean, I talk to you about all sorts of stuff, but that one seems to have really like.
Well, because it was kind of how everything was starting to play out though. Also, I went to church with you that last time, and your other friend was just like, "Hey, yo, what's your middle name?" Like,
yeah,
bro, my buddies don't know what my middle name is. Like, are you good right now? Like, you collecting? You need me to put my social security number down? Like, we getting ready to do a credit check, a criminal background check? Like, what the hell is going on here? So, for me, that was probably the only time I even probably looked at somebody even overstepping their boundaries was that part when it was like, yeah, just kind of, since you're coming into this circle, I want to get to know you. And, for me, is you don't ever need to be friends with my friends. I don't ever need to be friends with your friends. I hope we would always be cordial and speak to each other's friends if we're in each other's presence. But besides that, I ain't looking to bring you into that circle. That's not a circle that was made for you. And your circle ain't a circle that was made for me. That's the circle you've created. This circle I created is the circle I created. And I was never looking to infringe on any of it. So, for me, it was just like, and I guess because of how in the beginning, how tight all of that was though, too, because in the beginning, it was kind of, your week, then what is it? Was it choir rehearsal you used to have to go film? Or was it Bible study you used to have to go to? I think it was on Wednesday.
Church on Tuesdays.
Yeah, you had to go to church on Tuesdays, then you would have to stay damn near all day on Sundays, film and all of this. But all of that was just like, we're going to get together, do this. Yeah. And you will refer to them as your best friend. So for me, it's like, I don't really.
Yeah.
And those relationships predate me. So for me, I don't want to be the reason that any of this is happening. I don't understand what's going on that end. But, at that point, we was lockstep in tune almost every step of the way. We didn't have any issues to talk about. So I didn't kind of know where any of that was coming from.
Yeah.
So, that first year was definitely interesting. Would you say you had any trepidations with my youngest during the first year?
I got some now. No. No, I didn't. And I only say that because just, as people kind of grow and just, it's nothing about her, obviously. I feel more self-conscious about being a stepmom now than I did, when we first got together. No, because she's a great kid. Like I said, she's a great human. So my trepidations would have been if she had been like mean or disrespectful or sneaky or, those types of things. Then it's like, well, damn. Like, how do I tell this person I don't like your child? Like, I don't like, what do you do with that? But no, she's always been sweet and funny and silly and, like affectionate and thoughtful and, curious and, all of that stuff. When I first met her, she was dancing in the, parking lot. Like just, she was a lot like the way that Livy is when you come home. Like she was just like, hey, how you doing? Da-da-da. Just very like bubbly, just, so no, not at all. Not at all. And even now, no, I think she's just a little bit older. So you just kind of like everything is kind of a little bit eggshells with a teenager. But as far as like her as a person, no, like, to be honest, I feel like I really lucked out in all sorts of ways because I don't have to, when I met her, she was older. So all of y'all had all the training, so to speak, or just kind of with shaping had already been done. So I just enter into just meeting a great human who just likes to hang out and, but it wasn't like, it's not like when you're not there, she just becomes, or I just become, I'm sure we both be reporting back to you if it was something ridiculous. Like,
Yeah. And then we had, Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Down in Minnesota.
Yeah.
What was that like?
For me?
Mm-hmm.
Scary. Before we went. You remember that? Because there'd been two other people that had met my parents. One of them was my college sweetheart. He and I dated for 4 years and, thought that was going to be what that was. And then the last one was the guy that just really was like manipulative. And like when that ended and I found out everything about him that I didn't know, it just kind of like really just impacted like my trust and just kind of my like just everything. And he had been, when I think about college was so far ago that didn't really have any impact. But this person, met them, I was in my 30s, and I just felt so stupid and silly when that ended. And I was, even right now, as I talk about it, I was so upset that I had let him meet my parents, because I respect my parents and I just care about them kind of being aware of my life. And so when it came time for you to meet them, I just got very, very scared. And it wasn't about anything that you had done. I think you were kind of feeding off of my energy. Like, well, I mean, if you don't want this, and I just felt nervous. Like I just kind of,
I don't know. The way you kind of portrayed everything going down there and leading up to it was like, yeah, they're cool, but sometimes they can, be in a place. So it's like, I'm kind of going in thinking I'm getting ready to meet a mean old man and kind of like a
catty lady or something like
it's
that.
It's just like, all right, man.
You met my mom and just fell in love.
Yeah, I definitely did. That is one of the sweetest ladies I've probably ever met, to be honest with you. But again, it's like I always tell you, who we meet and growing up and being raised
at like
by
late
somebody.
30s and my parents are cool. I just,
right. Your father is funny, is it's all out, get out. But to me, I kind of walked away from it like
wanting to move to Minnesota.
Yeah, I was like, these are two people I could hang out with. I don't mind being around these guys. So
yeah. And it was, once we got in the car and started driving, it was fine. I just had a lot of like, and I tried to explain that to you. It was just like, babe, this has nothing to do with us. But I get it. Like, I get why you would not want to be in a position of
because
whatever.
You was nervous.
Yeah.
I'm nervous because I'm just like, it's her family. So if she ain't cool right now,
and it didn't have anything to do. I think
what I'm getting ready to go.
Once you kind of realize, and once I kind of was able to explain, it had nothing to do with them. Like, it had nothing to do with them or you. It was like I had this experience, and I just didn't want to. Like I said, it's important. A guy meeting my parents was something that was important to me, and that last experience ended up just kind of being horrible. So, when did I first meet your mother? I can't even remember meeting.
Probably the end of the second year.
What was that like for you? Kind of with
my mother's
family? No, just family dynamics. Period. Because you mentioned meeting your daughter. It's different for me, right? Like, none of my family lives here. You met my parents Thanksgiving, I think, and then you had met them since then a couple times, right? Like when business opened, my mom came. We were down there for Christmas. We've only done Christmas once, right?
Is that right? In Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And hoping this year, that's probably going. It's definitely it's probably a no-go for me at this point.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. But what was it like? So that was kind of with my family stuff. How about for you on your family end? And
well, I always told you, my sisters are cool, especially my youngest sister. I told you, she the funny one, the silly one. The middle one, she funny, but the youngest two are the funny and the sweet ones. The oldest one, you just love her because you got to at this point. It's just, hey, I was born. That's my sister, and that is what it is. Not like she a bad person, but my oldest, she has she's the oldest sister I have. I'm the oldest child, period, but she's the oldest sister I have. She's combative like my mother is. And it's kind of, you could be having a conversation with them, and the second you show them they're wrong, then she's one of those. She can already change the goalposts and try and flip the topic around so we can meet someplace where she right. And then she kind of maneuvers all around these places where she can't get where it's right. She's gonna make one last ditch effort to flip it someplace where we have to meet in the middle and agree to disagree. So it's kind of one of those where it's just like ain't gonna be no strife with neither one of those, but because they just not wired like that. None of them getting ready to, be looking to cause any trouble. Mm-hmm. Now, again, the relationship they have with my ex-wife, so that.
And you kind of used to talk about that a lot in our first year, because it was interesting meaning confusing for me, like that, your family lives here and I hadn't met them for a while. I guess in my head, I knew if, we lived where, if my family were here, you would have met them, at least met them, in some casual way, like probably 3 to 6 months in, like kind of whenever we kind of were like, yo, we're serious, I would have had you meet them, and that just would have been what it was. It probably wouldn't even been as formal because they live here. But when we first got together, babe, it was like I felt so insecure because it was like, yeah, still tight with my ex-wife, and I don't want you to feel uncomfortable with that. So I was just like, well, okay. I was like, well, I'll just like Pam and Gina singing in the background, like when Biggie was there, they wanted to sing back up for him. Like, right.
Yeah, but I think you kind of have always had an image of what you thought this would be like. And I've kind of always tried to
tell me that that's not what it is.
Temper expectations and let you know, like, hey, look, this ain't even what like this was. It wasn't like that when I was previously married. Like, I'm not a guy who deal with family functions. I've told you that already. Everybody want to sit around and have the same conversations over and over again. When you show them they're wrong, then it's, all right, yeah, I'm done talking. I'm cool. Why don't you go on over there and talk to somebody else and talk about something else? So it's like, all right, I'm cool on that part. And then it's kind of, since it's only my cousin who's literally my age, all the rest of, well, I have another cousin, but she lives in Mississippi and she left Chicago almost 20 years ago. But like everything was close-knit when my grandma was alive. When my grandma died, that literally was the matriarch of it all. So my grandma died, my godmother died. When those two deaths happened, that was kind of it. There was nothing to kind of like hold all of this together. My mother tries, but she don't have the respect of everybody in the family like my grandmother and godmother had. And my godmother was my grandmother's sister, but she also was my godmother. But once that happened, all of that just that was that. So now you would kind of just get all of their kids and her other brothers and their kids and some of the other elders. So you talking a bunch of 50 and early to mid 50-year-old people talking. I'm in my mid 20s, and at a certain point, it's like, why am I still coming over here sitting around through all this?
Yeah,
like ain't nobody for me to talk to. I'm not on the frequency of what my younger sisters on because they still into twerking, dancing, rap music, and all of that. And I am framing this so you guys know this is kind of just like mid 2000s, like 2005, 2006, 2007. It's made a decision like family functions just, they don't serve me any purpose. Yeah. I'm not getting ready to go somewhere just to sit in the corner and watch everybody talk when it's like.
And it did take me a beat to kind of realize that you were being for real with that. Because I'll be honest, like for a while, it was just like, well, maybe he just kind of don't want me to I didn't think it was for anything like nefarious. I just thought maybe he just doesn't want me around them. It took me a minute to realize, no, he doesn't really kick it like that, for real. And it has nothing to do with me. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and I credit, like I said, my uncle, he was kind of the father figure for me growing up. My mother played her role. My grandmother kind of played the grandma role and kind of almost that mommy role almost because my mother just worked a lot. So, when certain conversations come up, like I said, you could start talking about politics and all these things. It's like, so why do you guys do this or do that? And everything would always revert back to racism. So the older you get and the more knowledge you get, well, yeah, but you do realize we used to be Republicans before Democrats and all these other things, and this, yeah, you do realize that the Clinton family is involved in all these other things going on that's hindering Black people. And it's like, I don't want to talk to you right now. I'm cool. We had to do some other stuff, and it's like, yeah, but you pulled me into this conversation, and now that I'm kind of
walking down this road,
right now we having this conversation, and now I'm showing you that some of your talking points are off, and this is not true. Then it's all right, come on, I want to have this conversation. So for me, it's like, I ain't really no need. You know, for my uncle, we can kind of still talk basketball or whatever. We meet up. We don't have to have that. But for my mother, that's kind of been a point of contention in our relationship since I've been a little kid. She doesn't know who I am.
Yeah.
So if there comes this point where it's like, she'll try and reach out and talk like sports with you or stuff like that, but she ain't knowledgeable when it comes to sports. So now it's, yeah, I like Golden State, or I like this team, I like that, but it's super surface level.
Yeah.
Like, we're not getting ready to talk about what plays being ran or why this happens like this, why that happens like that. And you already know any other conversations that venture outside of that
to start to kind of veer left real quick.
Right. She's going to shut them down anyway. So it's like, there's nothing really to talk about. So it puts everything in these weird spaces. And that's kind of when I say, I try and protect you from coming down the rabbit hole, because for me is, I'm able to live in this world now. I've accepted the world I live in. And it's like, look, babe, this relationship with my family is like this. For you, I think coming in from the outside looking in, it's like, can't be that bad.
I wouldn't say like that, but from the outside looking in, as the new lady in your life, it's at least initially, without kind of living in it and kind of just experiencing our relationship. I mean, you got to think, I'm coming in, you're in a relationship for 20 years, you have 2 kids, your sisters grew up with your ex-wife, you know, they still would hang out, you know, when she was here and kind of all this stuff. And I'm just kind of, so it was easy to sort of feel like a mistress, babe. Like, I'm just saying, I'm just being honest. Like, you know, and I think with what made it not feel that way was how present and attentive you've always been, and how you've never made me feel that way, not at all. But it can kind of be, you know, when you're kind of meeting somebody and just wanting to kind of know their world, right? And kind of be a part of and just kind of see all that stuff. For me, it's kind of like, oh, there's this whole world. This is my perception. There's this whole world that he has, I have, like, that I'm not in at all and like will never touch. Now, the truth of the matter is that wasn't your world. That was their world. But it took a beat to kind of experience that and see that for what that is. You know what I mean? That's a lot to kind of enter into.
Yeah, but my sisters, they have a tight-knit relationship.
That's what I said.
And they talk about like super thing. My sisters they're not gonna really open up to me on certain topics. They'll keep that to themselves. If they come to me about that, they at wit's end on it at this point.
But it just took a beat to kind of like, and like I said, that's actually why this has been able to work, because I never felt like I was anything other than your woman, and, you know, only respect and love, and just, you know, it was but to kind of just, I guess, see everything, to kind of, it took a beat to kind of say, wait, like, what is this? And especially when, for me, that's a part of getting to know another person, getting to know their family. And it took a beat to kind of, I mean, you got 3 sisters, all their names start with the S. Like, it took a beat to even get everybody's names straight.
We all
longer than I would like to admit.
We all SAW.
But okay, so we're nearing the hour. I have a question for you. We
don't have time constraints here.
Oh, are we just going?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, we got to stay on topic though.
We just going through the first year.
The first year? I thought we were talking about how we met. I thought it was just the weekend. We met. No, let me.
We just going through just what that initial year. I mean, that initial, I guess, visit with my mother.
When was that? I literally can't remember meeting your mom.
I think the first official visit was Uncle Julio's.
That's okay. That's what I also
the first
say
initial
is the first time that I actually met her.
the first initial one, she just didn't want no part of kind of stopping to say hello. It's like, hey, this is, I got to go in. It's like, okay, all right. And kind of just came back to you. Of course, now she just like, no, I wasn't like that. But
that's one of the, as much as you and I will disagree on the history of things, that is one thing that we both agree on. It's like, no, this is how that went down. And it just is what that is.
So,
yeah. But I will say, after that, so what happened, I was dropping you off, and she happened to be pulling up. And I was like, oh, great time to kind of just say hello. I was going to step out the car and just whatever. And y'all kept going in. And I was like, okay. And you kind of like try to like buffer. You're like, no, just, I just didn't think now was the best time and da-da-da. And then later it was like, no, because in my head I was thinking that just seems weird. It seems like he would kind of just be like, yo, this is, but then later on you were like, yeah, I tried to kind of get her to say hey, and she just kind of
hadn't gave up yet on trying to reconcile things between me and my ex. And I mean, the crazy thing is my ex was living with a whole dude at that point, but it just was, some people have a hard time letting certain things go. And for me, it was just like, I don't really have a hard time putting everything in the box it's supposed to be in. Hey, this is what this relationship is, and this is just how this relationship is at this point. I don't expect any more from it. I'm not asking for any more from it. I understand what this one is. Hey, I know you kind of want to do family functions and all of that and see what my family like, and like I told you, stuff like the 4th of July, they'll get together, but unless you kind of come to a family reunion, you'll probably never see like a full-fledged like family get together anymore. My grandmother and my godmother was alive. It was a regular thing, but no, after that, everything just kind of splintered off. But it's just one of those where it was just like I kind of already knew her feelings I knew my mother's feelings basically about everything. I didn't think she would behave quite that way about it. And I mean, at this point now, she's just like, it's water under the bridge. It didn't really happen that way. And it's like,
well, it is water under the bridge, but I'll tell you this, to be honest, that actually kind of freed me a bit, because there was that part of me, right? Like, I want to be his mom and make a good impression. And it freed me from that, because I was like, I mean, this just is what it is. Like, and not in a disrespectful way, but like in a way that I no longer felt like I needed to kind of put my best whatever forward to impress anything. And I don't think anybody should ever feel that way, period. Like
I did in Minnesota.
Well, but but they were also very open to meeting you, right? Like you got there and it was very much like
I was tense,
hey,
until he came back from that trip from Chicago. And once we kind of
came back from that trip from Chicago,
remember he had to come back here. He had to fly up here for that funeral. And when he was just like, yeah.
Did we meet up?
No, remember your father came. Remember we was down there for Thanksgiving. Remember he left that morning. Remember, flew down to Chicago, went to the funeral, then came back.
Oh, okay.
Was it later that night or the following? But I think it was later that night.
Okay, I don't remember, but I do remember he had a funeral. I didn't remember that happened while we were there over Thanksgiving.
I just remember he came back with the joke. We won't repeat the joke here, but the joke on the plane.
And you just kind of like saw how.
And I was just like, yeah,
silly.
This is.
Yeah.
But
like, I think it makes sense for somebody you're meeting their family to kind of initially have that nervousness, but I also would hope that family would just meet them with open arms. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, unless you have any intel on why you shouldn't, there's no reason. Like, we're adults. It's like, obviously I care deeply about you. I'm introducing you to my folks. So there's no reason for them to kind of make an enemy of you.
And my sisters, I told you when you saw them that they would be fine. It would be hellos, all of that. But my mother feels like
because of that initial interaction, though, I was kind of like, and I was kind of like, it's gonna be what it is. But I no longer felt that like, oh, I want to kind of let you kind of get to know me and do that. I was kind of like, we can or we can't. We can and it's cool. We can't and that'll also be okay. But I mean, dinner was good. Like it was your sisters, both your girls, your mother, like the whole gang was there. I thought it went really well.
Oh yeah. So that happened, And you said you had a question to ask me first? Well, you forgot it now.
No, I didn't forget it, but I didn't know we were still walking down, so I would save it for the end.
I can ask it now before we get to, because once we talk about Florida, that is the end of the
No, it's
first
not.
year. The first year is over after Florida.
That's fine.
That's what. So you want to talk about Florida first?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, after Thanksgiving, come back. Did we go to Florida that year, or was it last? Was it the first year or was it the second year? I thought Florida.
So Thanksgiving would have been 2018. I think Florida was 2019 because we didn't do Florida last year.
Yeah.
So I think Florida was 2019.
Yeah. So
what did we do for Christmas? I went to Florida. You didn't for that first Christmas. Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, we'll say. Well, we can just bring the Florida trip here because I'm pretty sure if we ever have a second conversation.
Well, we can wait. We could just.
Ain't really nothing to talk about the second year. If we get to the second year, we're going to really be talking about the next time we go, it'll be deep diving into what it was like living through COVID and getting married and all of that. So,
well, so we're kind of at the end of the year then, end of the first year, pretty much. Because we met in March. So even though we're at the end of the calendar year, our first anniversary in the city, and we just had a really good time. Like you had booked us a hotel at, a boutique hotel right downtown.
Oh, I forgot all about.
Went to dinner. We just hung out downtown. We went to the movies. We stayed in the hotel. We had a good time. And remember, that was when I was working 2 jobs. I was working on the south suburbs on the weekends and still working my regular job. And so I was tired. I couldn't do everything, but like some of the things you wanted to do, I couldn't do because I was like, babe, can we just, but I thought that was so sweet. I really enjoyed that anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do show up romantically when it's time to. You're right. You are absolutely right.
Such a weirdo.
Sometimes I just don't even realize the things I do.
When you think about that first year, at what point, or was there a point, or was there a series of things that made you kind of say, I guess you can share this now. Like we were just talking yesterday about how neither one of us really when we were dating, and even now, I don't know if we really disclose. Well, we do kind of. Let me get my thought out. Sorry. When we were dating, we didn't really disclose to the other person like what we were looking for. That was kind of, you were saying that for you, that was definitely kind of a rule that you had, that people would say, what do you look for in a woman? And you would just be like, just be yourself. And because you didn't want somebody to kind of shapeshift into being something that they weren't. And I was sharing with you that I don't know if I've ever shared with a person like, this is what I'm looking for in a guy. Sometimes, because I really was just kind of like, yo, if we can. It's funny that we talk about all the conversations that we have, because for me, I was kind of like, if we can have a conversation and keep having conversations, then I don't really know what else. That's all it really is ultimately. Like, so.
Which is why conversations with SNL was so good, but you just poo-pooed all over it.
I didn't poo-poo all over it, babe.
You did.
I did. How?
We could have been able to help the people.
Baby, I didn't poo-poo all over it.
We wanted different names, and that's what I was just like,
What different names?
Now I'm talking about the show. When we was gonna do the show Conversations with SNL.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really like that name.
And that's not why we stopped doing that, baby.
No, I'm talking about you didn't like the name. I kind of love the name Conversations.
Oh, you're saying just the actual name of the.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But I guess my question for you, if you can kind of think back to where your head was seriously after that first year, what do you think it was that kind of? Because I would say. What do you think it was that kind of made you be like, yeah, like I think I want to keep having conversations with this person. I
know mine already, but I already know mine. But what was it for you?
No, go ahead.
I don't want you to steal mine. So what was it?
I'm not going to steal it. Scout time.
Mine was when we were sitting on the couch watching Saturday morning cartoon commercials and just kind of like, we went through maybe like 2 hours of just like, what we go through like 4 different videos. And then we was singing cartoon intros to see how many of them we still remembered. And at that point, it was like, oh, okay, she just as weird as I am on certain levels. So yeah, I can roll with this.
I think for me, I have to think if there was a specific moment. I think I just kind of, there was never a time I didn't want to be with you. You know what I mean? Like, it just kind of was like, you know, for me, it just kind of felt like, of course, like there was just never a moment where it was just like, where I'm kind of planning my exit route or kind of thinking like, this isn't, you know what I mean? I just kind of always, it just felt like this was just kind of what it was going to be. And the issue that I had, and honestly still have to this day, we could probably do a whole episode about this, is my own anxiety about kind of the other shoe dropping, right? But it was never about because of there being any evidence or proof of something going wrong. It just always, once that first weekend was kind of over and done with, once kind of the initial nerves, it just kind of kept building on, yeah, this is who he is, and this is y'all. And I knew I was being myself authentically, and you were accepting who that person was, and there was just kind of never a time when I was ready to be done.
Damn. Foul mouth heathen. Did I say that out loud?
You did.
Oh, excuse me, audience. Sorry about that.
Own it. Said it on purpose. Suffer.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it was that evening, us just kind of sitting around watching YouTube videos and just going through all the Saturday morning cartoon commercials and the Saturday morning cartoon intros and us singing Tiny Toon intros and all that stuff and kind of just seeing
Darkwing Duck. I defy someone to find a better cartoon intro than Darkwing Duck. I welcome someone trying to. What do you think? You look like you're looking for one. A better cartoon intro than Darkwing Duck.
Oh, I know.
What?
Chip and Dale. There was nothing better.
No.
The Rescue Rangers intro is the best.
No.
Yes. And Pee Wee's Playhouse.
No. Darkwing Duck was so funky. Like, they could have put that on the charts.
That's funky, but Chip and Dale just had a different feel to it. And I like the lyrics to Chip and Dale.
That's fine. I like the lyrics to Darkwing Duck. I think there were some kids that watched Darkwing Duck that I never heard a song funkier than that. Some of them white kids didn't even know what they were getting.
Yeah, but you just like a nice bass line.
I do.
Right. So I think that's clouding your judgment.
No, that's what makes it what it is. That is what makes it what it is.
And I enjoy Tiny Toon Adventures theme song more than I do Darkwing Duck. Yeah, that's probably it for me, those three. And it's probably some I think better. I just can't really and I enjoy Thundercats intro.
Oh, I didn't watch Thundercats. Sorry.
Yeah.
I've seen the intro.
You're a female though, so I wouldn't expect you to be watching it anyway.
I am a female.
Right.
That's true.
I was going to say girl, and I was like, no, she.
You said woman. Why did you say female? I hate that. Like,
well, because it goes. Once I say female, it can kind of go into girl or woman stage at this point. And you would have been like 4 or 5 years old, 4 years old, probably when Thundercats came out. So that's why I was like,
I love how you make it seem like you are so much older than me.
Yeah, but a year and a half is a long time.
A year and a month, babe.
Well, a year and a month. Sorry about that. Yeah, that's a long time though.
Okay.
Comprehension was different, but
yeah,
we go to we get to Florida.
Magnet schools, but that's.
I think the second year we breezed through, kind of went to Lake Geneva, I think, for that Thanksgiving. Yeah. Enjoyed each other. Besides that 20-inch TV you had me watching all weekend. That TV was smaller than this, though.
It wasn't smaller than the computer monitor, but babe, I wasn't trying to be there to watch TV. Hello? It was a whole romantic weekend. I had zero intention of sitting up there watching TV.
It'd be a romantic weekend, but again, ain't nobody getting ready to be romantic, being romantic 24 hours a day for the next 4 days.
Tired. No, but I mean, that was the first thing you said. I'm like, okay, here we go. First thing you noticed about the whole space was the size of the television. I was like,
man, we're gonna have to rough it through 20 inches. But I guess for me, it's kind of like when we sit and chill though, and because I understand when you're doing anything in the Midwest and Thanksgiving, you don't know what the weather gonna be. Now, that is the time I realized like she could cook. Like, man, kind of wish we was back at home and we had access to all of this. Cause
I think that's the first time you've ever said that, babe.
what?
I can cook. Narrated, he still plays his cards so close to the chest. Like, whew.
I mean, 80% of it, 90%.
I know that you enjoy my cooking because you eat it, and you wouldn't, what you don't like, you don't eat. So you're not one to kind of just be polite. You know,
right.
You're not rude, but like if you don't like a thing, you're not gonna eat it. But
yeah, you too.
Hmm?
I say you the same way.
How so?
You know, if it's something you don't like, it's a little bit too dry for me. So you got it. I'm just, or you'll do it the polite way and be like, yeah, I still didn't really have a taste for that today. So I'm gonna order out. Just like you can say you don't like it. It's all
I don't
good.
even remember saying I have a taste, but that's funny. That's funny. But yeah, I could. What we did was we went up to Lake Geneva for the weekend, and I cooked before we left. So I think we left on like Wednesday. Went up there on Wednesday, and I had cooked everything the day before, like that Wednesday, so that I brought all our food up with us because we had like a kitchenette, so we had a way to like reheat everything and store everything. So I did everything, babe. We did turkey, greens, sweet potatoes, dressing, sweet potato pies, macaroni and cheese, gravy. We had cranberry sauce and chutney. You don't like chutney. I mean, like this cranberry chutney, but I also brought regular cranberry sauce, and we ate good. I think I maybe made 2 pies because I know my man, and I knew he was definitely going to eat at least one just kind of throughout the day. So
sweet potato pie, you got that right. Yeah, that weekend turned out to be pretty good, and the weather turned out to be pretty decent while I was down there. I was able to take a walk around the lake. We ain't really going in town was it was a less crowded. I felt like being in a less crowded version of New Orleans almost. So it was just
more
like
clean.
It was more clean, but hippie.
We digress.
It was hippie. Yeah. Of course, you had the situation with the lady and yeah, I bet it's not hard for him to touch certain places.
That was the first time that somebody had made a comment around me about his height that was also like kind of a sexual innuendo. And it's happened to us twice. And I get so upset. I guess I get upset because the part of me that is just protective of Black men, period, and hates the stereotypes around Black men, all of them, they all have to do with physical abilities. And you know, I hate it. Like it annoyed because similar stereotypes have been held. I would say they're probably less so now about Black women as well, but it's about Black people. It all goes back to us being fit for service in physical service, whether it's sexual or labor. People don't realize that, so it immediately, that was 2 years ago. You hear how it just still, we were down in that store. It pisses me off. It makes me mad. And so we're walking, and I guess I also don't notice your height, babe. Like, obviously, I know that you're tall, but I don't notice it, even though you say hugging me is like hugging a midget. But I don't know.
You gotta say little people. You gotta be politically correct here.
But I don't walk around and notice, like, oh my gosh, she sure is tall. Like, whatever, it's you. Like, it just, so I probably take it a little bit more. You said you're used to it, and you're used to just kind of like shaking it off and whatever. But
same as being called Stephen or Steven is, at a certain point, you get it so many times, you just become numb to it. Like, and I always tell you that when it's just like, because what was the older Black woman when she said something, you was like, yeah, but I don't think that was sexual. And I was like,
I took it as like her being a grandma. You were like, babe, that's not how she was talking to me.
And she was just like, it's, what did she say? Tall, drink of water. She said something about my height. And she was like, no, I thought she was just saying like you was tall, acknowledging like, it's fine. But it's when we was just in New Orleans, and the Black girl got off the elevator, and she was you tall, and I was like, you know what, no different thing. He was like, yes, it was. She was just acknowledging you was tall. Like,
but you told me how you peeped the whole thing. You were like, babe, she looked, the elevator opened. She checked. You said she checked you out, noticed the ring, and then kind of like stepped out and saw me, and like then had this whole kind of nervous banter with you. But you said I didn't see all of that. Like I was standing behind you or off to the side, so I didn't see her get off or when she was still on and kind of saw you there and whatever.
When she got off the elevator, I was right in front of you, and she just kind of looked down, saw. I don't know if she saw the ring, but she looked down, looked up, and was just like,
"How tall are you?"
Right, and it's just like, lady, you 5'4". It's understood I'm tall already. So obviously, you saying that, we understand what's going on here. It would just be like a guy coming up to a lady and just saying, "Yo, I like your curves," or "You look nice," and it's just like this.
So sometimes, because I do wonder, I'm like, I don't know if I'm hypersensitive, because if it's just about height, okay, I'll give somebody that. If they just make a comment about height,
it's a conversation starter.
Oh,
it's always a conversation. It's like me walking past a dude 7 foot. I don't walk up to somebody who's 6 inches taller than me and say, "Dang, you tall." I understand you tall. I can see from 100, 200 feet away that you're much taller than me. That's fine. For me to acknowledge that is now to say what? If I'm saying that to you, I want to get a conversation started. So, to me, it's just, I think you get super sensitive to it, and it just.
Well, no, the incident on the plane, that was inappropriate. It was just, and it was.
Well, that was kind of the end of the Lake Geneva trip. We can ready to.
Well, we've done hopped around in New Orleans, so
I'm just saying, once we go to the plane, we segue into.
But yeah, Lake Geneva was fun. We said we were going to go back. We could say somewhere different. We could make sure they have a large TV, sweetheart.
It really wasn't nothing to do down there, though.
I think it was because it was so cold. We said we were going to go back when it was warmer, because they do a lot of stuff at the lake that's outdoors, and we went over Thanksgiving. But our next trip, you gonna plan our next trip?
We just end up going for a walk. Probably walk maybe like 2 miles and 8. But yeah, we didn't really do nothing. We kind of went. We went shopping for a little while, and that really wasn't worth nothing either. I mean, it was the same like Walmart's. I'm just saying we went shopping. Remember, where did we go?
I didn't really want to go shopping. It was Thanksgiving, right, so you were like, we wanted to go.
We only went shopping, remember, because the movie was sold out. We was going to the movies. We got there, and they was like, "Yeah, we sold out."
But you didn't want to go to the next show. I was cool with going to the next show. You were like, "No."
Sit around for 2 hours and kind of wait, because then we was gonna have to go back, come back, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm good."
But you'll plan our next joint vacation.
A trip to Montana or something, somewhere we can just be at one in the woods. And we can get along with Mother Nature.
I agree.
And then we had a Florida trip.
So my family goes to Florida every year for the holiday, for Christmas.
Which was a lot of pressure again. It was a lot of pressure, that Florida trip. First time you meet your brother. First time you meet Joe. First time you meet your sister. So first time you meet the kids. And it's everything to me is still just kind of like. And for me, I'm kind of one to understand when you put a whole bunch of personalities under one roof, any type of explosion can happen. So now it's like, all right, make sure you stay as cool and as calm and as collect as you could be. So it was like, all right, let's see how this plays out. But
how was it for you?
Still would love to kind of. That's probably the only bummer, but I think we probably going. I don't know if your parents gonna be in Minnesota for Thanksgiving this year.
If not, they'll be in Tennessee.
Yeah.
But what were you saying? You still
trying to get down there. I don't want to hang out with your brother some more. That's probably the only one I ain't really. I don't know if me and my in-law ever kind of.
The little one?
Yeah, we ever kind of see eye to eye on anything or have any conversations.
Maybe. I mean, you're a girl dad, so
maybe as she get older and may want to come visit you, but it's sincere. He remind me a lot of myself when
she's talking about my younger niece and my nephew.
Yeah, he kind of remind me a lot of myself when I was like 9 and 10. Well, I won't say that old. Maybe like 6 or 7 before you kind of had to start navigating the streets when I see him now, it's kind of just like, I kind of get envious just thinking like, he still get a chance to keep his innocence and he can still be a child. And that's kind of, I wish at 13, I would have been able to just kind of just see the world that way and not be exposed to everything. At 13, I had you had 2 buddies murdered already. You got a buddy you find in a garbage can. He completely out of here. He's crossed over. So it's just kind of just like, by the time I got to 13, I'm walking 5 blocks past my high school west to turn up to come back, walk up a block to come back to avoid gangs and all of this. And then you got to walk back 5 blocks east to get to school. Like, you taking different pathways to school and all that to make sure you're safe. It's certain gas stations you can't be called at anymore. So it's, as I got older, it was just kind of just like, my innocence is, I always make that joke when you say certain things, and I was just like, I was in the streets already. It's just like,
baby, you weren't watching this? Nah, yeah.
Yeah, at a certain point, you just have been exposed to so much of how nasty life in the world actually is. Where it's just like, got to be cool sometimes to just be at that age to just actually naturally mature and evolve into what you actually should naturally mature and evolve into. Yeah, instead of just.
But how was it being in Florida?
It was fun getting a chance to hang out with Joe. Kind of.
That's my brother-in-law.
Yeah, that relationship we still build. So that situation. Hopefully, you guys will be hearing from him probably next Sunday anyway. But hopefully that relationship will probably continue to build and evolve. But it was cool just being in that environment. It kind of made me reminisce and think about what Christmas was like for me as a kid growing up before my grandmother passed. Was just like everybody together, everybody having fun. Even if you're not really having fun, it's so much respect for the matriarchy and the patriarchy that's going on, where it's just like, this is what this is. We know why we're here though, and we're gonna make the best of the situation. So I thought it was cool. Like I said, I still didn't get a chance to really chop it up with your brother. So that's something I definitely want to get a chance to do.
Yeah.
I still feel like I know Joe better than I know your sister at this point.
I'm sure you do. Yeah, but y'all talk. So
I really haven't had a chance to really sit down and there may be an interview one day.
You'll like her.
Myself too.
I feel like she's cooler than I am.
I don't get a chance. I've never had, but see, I love to deep dive into everything. So eye rolls, facial expressions, smirks.
Yeah.
I'm kind of reading everything. So I don't get a chance I haven't had a chance to kind of like chop it up with any of them on that type of level yet. So Joe, yes. Your nephew, yes. You, yes.
My parents.
No, I probably got a lot of questions to ask your mother. And that will probably have to be a conversation in itself to see if one day she would love to join me.
She probably would.
On here. Because for me, I kind of want to know everything from childhood to why did you make this decision, that decision, what led to this decision, that decision,
She'll
how
talk to you.
Yeah, so, for me and Tim, I'm kind of able to get a gauge on a lot of those things. I don't really feel like I know.
Well, but you also got to think, baby, we've been married for 7 months.
Yeah, we've been together 3 years.
Yeah, but they don't live here.
Yeah, we got to make a better effort of getting down to Minnesota. So
yeah. So
hopefully we get a chance to, and hopefully we get a chance to get they in Minnesota and we get a chance to visit. I say hopefully they in Minnesota, we get a chance to go down and visit. So and let's not forget that was also the first time I ever got and that edible put me completely in no man's land.
That was the first time you had tried an edible? I thought we had done one at home.
We had.
Yeah.
I don't think
They
that
had legalized it here. We had done it here a couple
then it
times. We
was-
didn't. Yeah, we had done it a couple times here before.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I thought that was my first time.
I honestly couldn't. I can't say. I thought that we had done
I know
it.
we did it after we left there a few
Yeah.
times. I can definitely remember us going to the dispensary then, but
Mhm.
I think that was my first time. And it felt like I was moving in slow motion.
It was too much. If there's such a thing as being too high, it was too high. I felt like that Stevie Wonder song. Like it was because what was it, a cookie or was it a brown? It was a cookie. Did we have a whole cookie each, or did we each have half a cookie?
Half.
We probably should have each had a fourth of a cookie. All I remember was because the kids, so to speak. So like me, Steve, my brother-in-law. I don't think my sister had anything because she has something going on, but we all had something. And all I know is I look up and Steve is gone. Like, I think that when he started to feel the effects, he was like, what I'm not about to do is be out here with this family and
Tripping.
yes.
at all.
So we were out there playing games, just being
My
silly and
head
loud
felt
and
like it
whatever.
weighed like 40 pounds. And I
And-
could feel it just like, it felt like it was moving forward on its own. It was just like, it's time to go lay down.
Yeah. So we looked up, we're like, where's Steve? And I said, oh, he went to bed. I think I came and checked on you, knocked out, and I just went back out there. But yeah, it's
I
a
can
good time in
remember
Florida.
getting up in the middle of the night and having to hold on to the wall. It seemed like it took me like 20 seconds to take like 10 steps. I was just like, I don't know what's going on here, but yeah, we can't do this again.
So that was first year, and then COVID. Are we getting into that today?
No, we are
Okay.
hour and a half in that.
That was
That-
second year, I should say.
Yeah, we'll say the COVID and marriage talk for another time. So this is
Are we wrapping it up just like that?
just like that.
No.
I mean, unless you got anything else.
No,
wanna
you got
say.
any parting words of wisdom? A famous quote? Proverb?
Yeah, I do have parting words of wisdom.
Oh, Father goodness.
If she does not kiss you on the first date, that should not be a second one. It's your boy, the Hood Nerd. Bring you another episode
All right, y'all.
of the Hood Nerd, where Pill Talk presents the Deep Dive.